Welcome to Never Rewrite. I'm Isaac Askew.
And I'm Jeffrey Sherman. And today we're going to talk about how to stop a rewrite in progress. And for the context of this conversation, it doesn't matter whether you were part of the original plan and this was your idea for a rewrite, or you've joined a team that's in the middle of a rewrite, or you joined the company and you got put on a team in a rewrite. We'll just stipulate there is a rewrite happening. Whether you were part of that decision or not doesn't matter too much.
Mm-hmm.
And we're kind of leading the horse here because we're saying how to stop it. And so maybe we should start by answering the question of, should you stop it?
Mm.
Should you stop a rewrite in progress?
I guess it depends. Like, if you just joined a company, I guess it would depend on your seniority level. Like, is your advice warranted? Are people going to listen to you if you want to have advice about it? Is it one of those ones where it's like a 2-year rewrite that, like, for example, it was like planned for 6 months, but actually took 2 years, and they were actually almost quote unquote done,
Mm-hmm.
with the cutover, even after all the fallouts,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think step one would be identifying where the rewrite is.
Yeah.
As you say, if it just started, then I would say yes, put the brakes on and try to shift it now before it all goes terribly wrong. But if they've been at it for 2 years, I remember there was one rewrite that I described as flying from New York to LA by going east.
Mm.
Right. So they flew, from New York to London to Istanbul to Singapore to Honolulu, and now they're finally ready to fly from Honolulu to LA.
Okay.
And at that point, it's still like, it's actually still shorter to just start over and fly from New York to LA.
Got it. The sunk
But
cost fallacy. Yeah.
right, sunk cost fallacy. But maybe it's okay to just let them land, like, because there's a lot of desire to finish the flight, and so maybe
And
it's okay.
that plus like your own political capital at a
Mm-hmm.
company, which I didn't really appreciate younger in my career, but like if the first thing you do when you join a company is start like yelling at people who've made decisions before you've been there that they shouldn't do things this way, and you
All
know,
decisions made before I arrived are wrong.
right, then that might not necessarily make a friend out of yourself, but I mean, you could at least kind of speak up, but not like be
Mm-hmm.
too loud. It
Right.
would depend on the situation. I think the type of company you're at.
Well, and how the
Yeah,
rewrite is going. So I
yeah,
think we got some notes here I'm looking at. To start with, talk about here's what we hoped would happen. Right here, we'll go back to what was the plan
yeah,
or what was the goal, and here's what we thought would happen if we did a rewrite, and here's where we are now, and here's what we've learned. Because I think we've covered this in a couple of episodes, but a wildly underappreciated and ignored piece of a rewrite. Uh, I don't remember. Somebody said, you never know less about a project than when you start.
yeah.
And as you go through this rewrite, you have learned something, and very likely you will have learned that you shouldn't have done a rewrite.
Right, and that's kind of a fun point too, because if you learn midway through, you shouldn't have done that, and you still have a chance to stop.
Mm-hmm.
From your flying around the world metaphor, you still have a chance to stop and do it. What? Like, imagine you go through and you discover, oh, these are all the reasons why we wanted the rewrite because of these main bugs that I've discovered in
Mm-hmm.
trying to do the rewrite. Actually, it's probably safer just to abandon the rewrite and just, now that I know more about the system, fix these things iteratively.
Right. Yeah. If you the fallacy of being able to do a rewrite without fixing the bug, or at least understanding the bugs in the original system in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And so, okay, so that gets you to, should you spend it? And unless, generally speaking, I think we're saying, unless it's close to being done and you really believe it's close to being done, probably you should. But how you go about it is talk about what you hope, go back to the beginning of what you hoped you would learn or do,
Yeah.
what you've learned, what you've accomplished so far, and then, because that's the the piece that comes next is, okay, how do you stop it?
Yeah.
Um, and so instead of being negative, like, oh, well, this is a disaster, we have to stop. Go with the positives of what you've accomplished and or what the team has accomplished, because you may be brand new to it, and what they've accomplished and what they were doing and where they want to go. Like, what do you have that's useful and great? Because
Yeah.
if you have some new framework that's awesome because you start a greenfield, maybe that's okay, and you can use it for things going forward. You just don't do it for everything going back.
This reminds me of a recent investigation, somewhat side tangent here, but a recent investigation that we did on trying to improve queries on a page. Um, as we investigated what we'd have to do to fix these queries, we found out it wasn't necessarily a non-performant query. That, like, all the queries were performant; they were just in loops.
Oh,
So each query was using an index and it was fine. It was just the application was goofy in how they were firing these things in a loop.
became an O to
And
the n squared kind of a thing.
yeah, exactly. And as we looked more into the, I guess, how to fix the issue with it slamming the database, regardless if it was optimized or not, we were like, okay, well, do we want to fix this right now? Because now we've done the investigation, and changing the application logic here in the untested area is going to be an effort. Is
Mm-hmm.
that prioritized? Should we do that now? We thought maybe this would be an easy thing where we could just fix a query. Now it's going to be a bigger, fix here. Is it okay to abandon this at the moment and just write down what we learned from it? So take everything that, here's what the application is
Mm-hmm.
doing. This is why it's doing it. This is the purpose of this page. This is who's using this page. And then put that in the document for the next person once we have time to actually address it the right way. And so I think it's valid enough to tie it back to this topic here,
Mm-hmm.
to take what you've learned and stop and say, hey, company, we thought this was the right direction. As we went through it, we learned new
Mm-hmm.
things. Data has changed. We have now decided that it would be a better idea to change directions here and do this instead. And that would still be a success. You've still done a good thing. You've investigated, you've learned.
Right, and that's a critical piece that you just mentioned there. You've learned something, and now that you've learned something, what you had proposed originally doesn't make sense anymore. And that's
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have to keep going. It's not
You don't
like,
have to save face. Like, you learn something new, great, and just speak up.
right. Success is more valuable than saving face, as you call it.
Yeah.
So finding the new things. And then, so you got a new thing, and then going back to saving face, though, instead of just saying, oh, we're going to not do the rewrite, you can define a new path and give it a name or not, and just say, look, we were going to rewrite this thing, but during our investigations, we've discovered a better way.
Yeah.
And the better way was to not ever do the rewrite, but the better way is to fix it what we originally had. Or the better way is to only do this going forward, or the better way is, to document it and think about it some more, because we're not sure that the use case is actually correct.
Yeah.
Because and I've done this many times over my career, nothing worse than optimizing something and then getting to the end and being like, well, that works a lot better, but now that I really understand it, it's wrong.
Oh.
Like, we
That
shouldn't be
sucks.
doing this. This isn't what the customer wants.
Yeah, you fix something that the customer doesn't care about. That's a brutal one too, because engineers will get lost in just fixing broken things, not realizing no one's using it, or people
Right.
wanted something
It works
different
so much
from
better
it.
now, but nobody
Yeah.
is using it, and nobody
Yeah.
cares.
Yeah, you scratched your own itch. You're like,
Yes.
for the sake of your own sanity and problem solving fun. Yeah.
I mean, I'm all about scratching my own itches for the sake of problem solving fun, but I'm weird.
I guess it just depends what the company wants to pay you to do that versus you want to do it.
Would you like me to get down into the weeds and amuse myself with micro optimizations? Because I could be amused for months. I don't know that it make any value. But going back to the rewrite. So you've quantified where they want it to go, where they are. You've highlighted the pieces that are working,
Mhm.
also highlighting the pieces that are not working. You emphasize what you've learned and use that as a way to reframe the discussion. Instead of saying, oh, well, we're abandoning the rewrite and we're going to start over or anything like that, you say, aha. Like, because this is especially important if you're in the 2 years of the 6 month slog, or you're in the second year of the 6 month rewrite, and you're like, oh,
exactly.
you don't say we're abandoning the rewrite. You say, I have found a shortcut that's going to get us the value faster.
Yep.
Thanks to everything we've learned with all this effort we've put in. And then you do that thing. And the last part about all this is it helps protect the team. Like, one of the things we come back to a lot is rewrites are extremely destructive to teams, right? It's destructive to leadership. It's destructive to managers. The team will mostly leave, right? If you have a rewrite and it fails, most of the people on the team will leave within 6 months. And if it succeeds, most of the people on the team of the rewrite will leave within 6 months. It's a really weird phenomenon. But if you're able to reframe it and produce success without necessarily making it through the slog, it's going to protect the team much better.
You're right. I like the idea of reframing that, and like, I guess that's kind of a hard sell, because like if you tried, I imagine the original person who made the pitch, this is all going to be sunshines and rainbows if you go through the rewrite and do it this way, and then you after you make a big hubbub and you've got budget and you got the team together, 2 months in you discover, oh, we shouldn't do this. That's a hard thing to kind of.
Yes.
I mean, it's good of you to, but if you imagine like what you were saying about like just kind of reframing it as a success and finding another solution, at least you come with a solution, and you can work. I've worked with great managers who are good at selling this stuff. Like they do a way better job than I would as an engineer. They can go say, Isaac found this other path forward from what we've learned and exactly how you've described it. Like this wasn't lost work. We didn't.
Right.
All this. It looks like lost work. But all this actually led us to learn something way more valuable. So we can actually throw this away. And let's not do the sunk cost fallacy here. This is perfect. We learned exactly what we needed to do. Let's switch gears before we spend any more resources here. I'm saving you money
right.
by cutting this short here and doing it this way.
Yeah, people feel like they would lose face if I proposed a 6 month rewrite and 2 months in, I'm like, oh, I have a better idea. People are worried, oh, well, I'm going to look bad because I pitched this thing and now I'm not going to do it. It's like, no. You have a better idea. You sell it you show that you have found something more valuable and you're willing to shift gears away from this thing you said originally. Nobody but you was invested in the original solution. Yeah. They needed a solution. They don't need that solution.
Yeah, it's one, but I guess that's kind of an interesting point. It's one thing to go back and say, hey, I've learned something new. I'm going to take back my words on the rewrite and we're going to go do this way. If you've got a split team where someone's just obsessed with this rewrite, but you're the one going, no, I think we learned enough to not do it. Then you've got the internal fight, right? That would be more brutal.
I've been there. I've never successfully moved the team away when if I'm not the team lead and the original team lead is still invested in the concept of the rewrite.
Yeah, that's good. That would probably be another good topic in and of itself.
Yes,
like a dissenting team, because now you don't have alignment, and leadership's like, okay, well, what's the best course? You have a split team,
right? Yeah, if you're not the leader or you haven't convinced the team. Well, I think
that's a harder sell.
Did we do an episode where I mentioned you should be on Team Rewrite instead of being on Team Greenfield? Maybe that's a blog post.
Sounds familiar. We've done over 100 now, though.
We've done over 100. I'm forgetting them. But, all right, we'll leave that for another time. So, summarizing again, if you're on a rewrite, remember that you've learned something. You've learned a lot by starting the rewrite. You never know less about a project than when you start. We should figure out who said that and put it in the show notes. And you never know less, and you've learned something, and it's okay. Nobody is invested in a specific solution. They want a solution. They don't care about this solution. And You don't say, oh, well, we made a mistake by rewriting. You say, we've learned something. We've got a better path forward. It's going to produce more value quicker. Let's go for it.
Makes sense.
All
I
right.
think Dustin was the one who said that. You never know
Maybe.
less about the project. All right.
Okay. I hope it is. Let's quote Dustin. Good job. Thank you all for listening. I'm Jeffrey Sherman.
And I'm Isaac Askew, and this is Never Rewrite.